All right, everyone. Another Age of Fantasy battle report. Some Beastmen versus my Chivalrous Kingdoms. I wanted to test the Chivalrous Kingdoms out. I'm going to be using. So I have both dwarfs and Kingdoms of Men for Kings of War. And so this Chivalrous Kingdoms, I am using some models from the Human Empire because I want to match the models in my Kingdoms of Men army for Kings of War. So a bit of a test for this one, and my opponent's bringing Beastmen, which are also just a really cool army. We'll get into that. So it's 2,000 points, 5 objectives. We're both using my Mage Knight models. And, we've added this 60 millimeter base for tough models so that just adding some sticky putty so that tough models kind of get a little bigger. All right. Let's go over the army list. So Beastmen, we're running a brute boss, dual hand weapon. We've got a centaur boss who's just really great. So he's pretty awesome in this game as well. Impact 3 on him alone. He's so good. We've got some hunters, 2 units of hunters, one with phalanx and one just with hand weapons. We've got a 5-man unit of elite with halberds. We've got a 6-man unit of brutes. So really nasty unit. Gave them the impact 1 upgrade. So just an absolutely nasty unit that can just hit like an absolute truck and just has this impact hit. We've got a smaller unit of brutes, so they don't have the impact upgrade. So we've got 2 10-man units of centaurs, both upgraded pretty the same. One has throwing spears and a shaman, and you're going to see that shaman just does work this game. And then we have a unit of harpies and hounds. So these are just fast and strider. So the hounds have poison and melee. So yeah, that's the Beastmen 2,000 points. A little bit more of an elite army. So with Chivalrous Kingdoms going the opposite direction with a lot more numbers. So I have a high champion on a horse. Gave him war duty, which is a great ability where I can pick any unit within 12 of him and move them 6. So he's doing great. A realm defender. So this is basically a mage. I've got 2 peasant levies. So this is just like 50 points super chaff here. They do have some throwing stones, but they're, these guys are just chaff. So I've got 2 men-at-arms. One has spears, one has hand weapons. 2 furious mobs. I've given them the flails upgrade. And as you're going to see with the relic, I've got them basically running with the Grail relic. So these guys are just going to be, they're really just glass cannons. And you soup them up with the Grail relic and, they're going to hit like trucks, but they're also going to just absolutely get blown away. I don't even think the fearless even matters on them because they die so fast. So I've got 2 units of foot knights, giving them great weapons, pretty good as well. And then I've got some marksmen, so I've upgraded them to crossbows. I've got 2 10-man units of realm knights. Really love Chivalrous Kingdom with their lancer ability, giving them that AP1 on their impact. So both are really good. Two really good units of realm knights. Got a Grail relic that's going to be running along with the infantry, and I've got 2 organ guns. So yeah. So we're using my Mage Knight models. I'll go through it. So I've got some spearmen, which are some pikemen and wood sentinels. I've got my Temple Blade Masters as one of my foot knights. I've got the elf at arms as men at arms, and I've got my liege knights as the other foot knights. And then we've got the lady over there as my mage. So I'm actually getting a really cool model, and I'm going to be working on it for the so I run Knights Templar themed Kingdoms of Men army. So I actually just has a little stand-in model for this. I really wanted to try the Grail relic out. I've got 2 organ guns. On the side there, you don't see. I've got some longbow archers that I'm using as crossbows. So I've got my 2 peasant levies. One I'm using those squires, and the other one I'm using just recruits. So these are my 2 peasant levies. There's my crossbowmen, and then I've got elven zealots and faith healers as my furious mobs. And then I've got 2 10-man squads. of cavalry, and then I've got an elf mounted champion as my leader. I call him Captain because that's why I play in Kings of War, so I'll be referring to him as the Captain. All right, for my opponent, so he's got some Centaur lieutenants for his centaurs. He's got some apes with spears, so that's his hunters with spears. He's got the other unit of centaurs. He's given them the outriders. These are the guys with the throwing weapons. They both centaurs, by the way, have lances. He's got another. I'm using some knoll hunters as his other hunters, so they're just with hand weapons. The satyrs, the satyrs are the are the dogs, and then the gargoyles are the harpies. And you can see I've got my centaur champion here. He's my centaur lord, basically. And then the werewolves are the elites. And yeah, so we've got a troll chieftain as the brute lord, and I've got my minotaurs using as the brute, basically minotaur brutes. So yeah, just to kind of get an idea, the difference in numbers. So the Chivalrous Kingdom / Human Empire army is vastly outnumbering but they do have, with those 2 10-man units of centaurs and those brutes, including his 2 champions, especially that 6-man squad of brutes is going to be very difficult to kill. So he's really got an elite army that can just really blow through. I think he's got some units that can really just auto kill just about any one of my units. So it's going to be definitely 2 different army mentalities approaching each other. All right, so let's do setup. So we did terrain. So we did kind of a bit of a theme where we've got kind of a ruined town, and then we've got some old farm country using its difficult terrain on the left. We've got some forests and some pools in the center. And then towards the right, we've got kind of a mountainous region. So we added in a lot of terrain. Really love having playing games with lots of terrain. It really adds a lot of strategic depth. So for our objectives, we have 5 of them. 1 is going in the difficult terrain on the far left. We've got 2 in the center, 1 in the water, the other one in the woods right above it. And we've got 2 in the mountains. And that's just that other one in the woods. So for him, he sets up first. So during the setup, he's got his some centaurs running center. They're flanked to the left and the right from some spearmen. He's got his elites behind him, and he's got his 3-man brutes running on the far left, trying to take that first objective. Towards the center, he's got a second unit of centaurs. So this is where a lot of the power in his army is, where he's got both of his leaders. So towards the center and right, so both of his leaders are running with their 10-man squads. This is where a lot of the power in his army is, and his satyrs, well, I'd say his hounds and his harpies are going to be doing scout. So for Kingdomsmen, I've got one of my 10-man squads on the far left. They're going to be trying to contest that objective. We've got some we've got some spearmen running in front of a foot guard unit with my wizard. And then this is the center. We've just got the Grail Relic, and we've got like a lot of kind of champy units to kind of protect those furious mobs. Those furious mobs are kind of glass cannons, so they do need some units in the front to kind of tank that charge, so they don't immediately get killed and they can countercharge something. We've got some crossbows that are going to be just moving into the woods and shooting, and then I have more of my champ that's running on the top right. And then on the far left, I really want to force him away. Those are 2 objectives on the far right that I really want to force my opponent away from. So I put both of my organ guns. I put my leader with his 10-man squad of cav, and then a foot guard. So I put a lot of power on that right. I really actually just want to try to force him away and just give up on those. And if he doesn't, he's probably going to die. So that's hopefully going to just get me those 2 objectives on the right. All right, turn 1. So he does do scout, and he went ahead and just placed them there and then did their immediate scout moves. And the first thing he did is sent his dogs into my war machines. I think, we're both Kings of Men players. Kings of War players. So we're used to artillery being pretty squishy, but artillery in this game is actually decently tough and can actually fight back. So He actually split his attacks. I think in retrospect, he probably should have just focused one. And so they both survived, and they actually got 2 back. So the dogs did 2 wounds, 1 wound on each of them, and then I did 2 wounds to him with the 2 crews, and we were basically able to bounce, which was really good. I did not want to lose my artillery first round of the game. So I basically charged him with my peasant levy, and they basically all missed. I mean, quality 6. They again, it's hard to really overstate how really bad these guys are. He then charged me with his harpies and just rolled great. And so this is his roll. He needs 5s. Just rolled really good. He killed. I think he killed 6 of them. Made 1 save. They need a 6, so he got them below 50%. And then I rolled a 6 on my morale, and those peasant levies stuck. So I had to take a picture of that. I was so proud of my peasant levies for not just running away. So I move up my crossbows and I shoot his centaurs. I kill a couple of them, whittle them down to 8. He then moved up. I did miss a few picks. So he's moving up some of his units. I move up my spearmen. He moves his spearmen up in a response. And then I go ahead and I move up my foot knights. My wizard casts wild form on the foot knights and wild form on the cav right behind him. So he continues just to kind of move up his hunters. I move up my other peasant levy just to kind of capture that center objective. He moves up his brutes. I move up the Grow Relic. He moves up his elites. So we're just trading right now. I use the general's 6-inch move to send my foot knights up there to capture the first objective on the far right. And then again, I'm just moving up my models. A lot of chaff there just to try to protect those furious mobs in my Grow Relic. He moves his centaurs up to the forest. So, and then I move my cavalry in response. So, and finally, I just move up my furious mobs. My cavalry charge both the hounds and the harpies, and kill them both. So, and then we move up the foot knights. So that's the end of turn 1. A few things have died, but mainly this is just kind of the calm before the storm. So we're all kind of just getting closer to each other. All right, turn 2. So he sends his really crappy guys into my even crappier guys. So he sends his hunters into my peasant levy. He rolls bad, and my peasant levy, I think they don't even get a wound. So somehow my peasant levy also managed to survive an attack. So I think they failed their morale, but they're above 50%, and so they're just wavered. I then move up my crossbows and I shoot at his centaurs again. I kill, I think 1 or 2 more. He charges his spearmen into my spearmen. He loses 2 from phalanx, and then he causes 1. I don't do any damage, so I get a slight advantage on him, but he passes his morale tests. I then have my captain do the 6-inch move to move my foot knights to gain the second objective on the right. So I've now have both of these objectives. So first part of my plan is done, trying to just get these 2 objectives on the far right secured, and then try to play for the others as well. So in response to the crossbows shooting those centaurs again, they're pretty angry. They go into the crossbows and absolutely murder them. So there is nothing left. I move up my spearmen. I want to get those foot knights to kill his spearmen. So I went ahead and just moved those foot knights up there. They're just going to get in the way and cause issues. Well, he did send in his minotaurs, and as expected, I think he passed all his dangerous terrains and just absolutely murdered those spearmen. So those guys got. I mean, he rolled so many dice. He killed, that could have been a 20-man squad of spearmen, and they still would have died. So spearmen are toast. I move up my my Grail relic, and I put the Grail upgrade. So I give both my Furious mobs +1 attack. So that's 4 attacks on the charge for those Furious mobs. He, seeing my Furious mobs starting to get riled up, he sends his centaurs into one of them and just basically wipes them out. So they're all dead. There's some other movements off screen that I didn't catch. I moved the foot knights to the right, so there's no pick there, and then he moved up his elites behind them. So seeing their other Furious Mob brothers get murdered, they went into those centaurs. That's 40 attacks, 25 hits, AP1. They absolutely just blow those centaurs up. And so those Furious Mobs are so great, and I love them with the Grail like where they can just get hyped up and they just run in and just blow something to Kingdom Come. He moved some other models up to the that's off picture, and then I moved my foot guard up to attack at the spearmen. They killed the spearmen. I think I lose 1 from phalanx, and I fail any of my checks. I think she didn't. She wasn't able to cast this turn. So he's all done. So I'm just moving my knights into position. I move my foot knights up. And then I move my my peasant levy up. I also take my 2 organ guns also shoot at his centaurs, but I think they missed. They're only hitting on 5, so they don't roll great. And so that is the turn for turn 2, end of turn 2. It's looking pretty good right now. I think my opponent is starting to realize that he needs to really start taking some chances here, because just with numbers, I am just overwhelming him. So yeah, so we'll go into turn 3. And my opponent, he does it right. He's very smart. That is, and it's so true. When you're behind, you have to take chances. So he moves up and he casts, it's the 6-up spell Howling Roar that does 8 hits to 2 units. And it's a 6-up, so he needs a 5-up to do it. But he, again, he understands that he's playing from behind and he gets it off. So first of all, he casts it on the foot knights, where he kills, I think he kills 5 of them. And he also kills the peasant levy. So this centaur unit is just doing work. I mean, he's killed 3 units already. This centaur unit is so great. I think that they so they basically killed, I think there was maybe 2 or 3 left. They attacked. I think they killed one of those centaurs, and then they failed their morale test. So the foot guard are also gone. I sent in my Furious Mob. I knew these guys were going to die, so I went ahead and I wanted them to get in their damage while they could. So they actually hit both the elites and the minotaurs with their Furious Mob. I kill one. I didn't roll so great, and he rolled some pretty good saves, but I did catch one of those minotaurs, and I think I put some wounds on the other. But that's a tough unit, and I killed one of the elites. So they swung back and just killed me. Actually, the elites didn't even attack. It was just the brutes. He sent his elites actually into my my cav and killed half of them. And I think I killed one of them, and luckily they passed their morale. But those elites also were real good. I send in my militia into his militia. I think we win combat, but he passes his morale. So those militia, those hunters for him are really doing their job. They're just passing those morales. I have my 5 remaining cavalry. I go into his now, one of the things that's off screen here that I missed is that his 3-man unit of brutes charged my and the reason I didn't take the picture is because I maybe just depressed about it, because this 3-man unit of brutes, I didn't take the picture. They actually charged those foot knights on the far left and killed them. So they failed their morale. I lost not only my foot knights, but I also lost my wizard as well. So, but in response to that, my cavalry do go and they hit those 3-man units of brutes, kill them, and then those guys advance towards the left objective. Here, the brutes. Excuse me. Excuse me. Yeah, so here the militia moved up. Actually, my organ guns shot at his hunters, but they passed their morale again. So that hunter unit, even with a 5 morale, is just really doing work, just kind of sticking there. So, yeah, yeah. And I think the brutes charged just with their charge attacks. They killed another one of my peasant mobs. So now his brutes, they've killed those peasant mobs. They didn't even need to roll their hand-to-hand attacks. They just used their impact attacks only to kill the peasant mob. So they gained the center objective. So they have the 2 in the center now. And then I send in my cavalry. So they go into those brutes. I do some damage, but those guys are real tough. So the brutes survive. And I use my 6-inch move, so it just gives those cavalry a 22-inch threat range. And yeah, they do some damage to them, but they're still alive. And I think he rolled really good armor saves. I think I may kill one. Yeah, I think I killed one, and like they're still alive. But that 6-man brute squad is still very much alive. And I think he flubbed his rolls, so they're surviving. I'm still doing pretty good here. So turn 4. And so again, he knows he's playing from behind, and his centaurs cast that 6-up howling roar again. So now he kills all the I think if you start over here, I still have a majority squad of my my militia. So he kills all but 2 of them, and he kills I think 3 or 4 of the cav, and then he attacks. So he attacks and kills all but my leader. And then my leader does go in. He's got some attacks backs, and he kills one of the centaurs. So luckily, my leader does pass his morale test and survives. And my leader, he may have got bunked, but I am contesting that center objective. So that leader is just got 1 wound, basically 2 wounds left, and he's trying to contest that center. Seeing that I'm not going to win the center, I just move my cavalry up, and they capture the far left objective. The brutes go into the relic and kill it. The relic actually moved up to contest. It was contesting it. Basically, last turn it moved up. And then the brutes go into the relic and kill it. So they're just reforming around that objective. So there's that. And then my organ guns start shooting, and they finally finish off those hunters. So both the organ guns shot and finish off the hunters. And yeah, that's where it's standing right there. And then he sends in his elites into my leader. So he rolls like really good. He gets 2 rending, no, I think 3 rending hits. And my leader only has 2 wounds. So I managed to pass 2 of the 3 rending hits, and I pass the other hits. And somehow my leader holds on with 1 wound, and he's contesting an objective. I mean, so my lord is just barely hanging on, but contesting that objective. So that's him afterwards. He does kill one of the elites, and he's just holding on with 1 wound left. So that's kind of the battlefield. I also send in I didn't picture it here, but I sent in my militia just to try and kill the elites, but they bounce. So a minor thing. And that is 4 turns. So that's just the other end of the battle. Man, I mean, it was an absolute murder fest here. So going into it, yeah, it was just massive casualties. The Chivalrous Knights held 3 objectives on the right and the left. Beastmen held the center objective, and I contested with my leader, contested 1. So it's a 3-1 victory for the Chivalrous Kingdom. And yeah, this is just another picture of the battlefield. This is just some of the pictures of the casualties that happened. Lots of casualties. This is all the dead Chivalrous Kingdom, including those foot knights on the left. more dead. The organ guns are still alive, but just trying to show you just like it was a big battle and a lot of models died. So just to cover some learning points, one of the things in this game that I like is I like that the objective, like the way you win is not by killing stuff. The way you win is by the winning the objective battle. And it's also a very simple, it's a very simple way of winning it. Like it's intuitive, it makes sense. And I've noticed in other games they try to make the objectives and make the scenarios more complicated, but it's oftentimes simple scenarios with simple objectives that are the best, right? And that's something I like about this game. The scenario is very simple, but that simplicity allows you to really play for it. So I had a plan going into this battle to take the right two and then to at least fight for one more, and the plan worked. Another learning point is that Phalanx is definitely worth it. I think I think both of us agree that we would like to have brought a second, if not a third man unit of Phalanx. Phalanx is really good. Another thing is that we both played a lot of 10-man squads, but I think after the game, we both agreed that we actually wouldn't mind splitting some of our cavalry up into some 5-man squads. So that's definitely something I think both of us are going to go into our next game is probably have some smaller 5-man squads of cavalry. Units with the wizard upgrade are great. Like I paid like, it's like if you go and buy a leader with a wizard upgrade, you're kind of paying for the leader as well. Like, and just seeing he played those centaurs with that wizard so well, those basically kept in the game. I mean, that was the MVP, was having that 5-man squad of centaurs charging stuff and then doing that fearsome roar. And just, I mean, that unit alone killed 4 units. So definitely consider bringing the wizard upgrade if you have units with it, because it's very good. The other thing is that terrain in this game is very important. We played a lot of terrain this game, and I would suggest you too. It balances shooting. I think they recommend 10 to 15. I think like I said, going for 13 to 15 pieces of terrain, it's just going to make your games a lot better. So that's just some learning points. Yeah, thanks for watching. A couple of cleanup items. So one, I have a pretty substantial Mage Knight collection. Let me know if there's armies that you'd like to see. You can even send me lists. Also, I'm on Universal Battle too, so you can also just message me or comment, and we can play a game of Age of Fantasy or even Kings of War, whatever you want to play. And just I'm kind of new to content creators creating content, so if you have any feedback, just let me know. So thanks for watching, everyone.